In this video, I want to look at the national insurance increases and the increases to the minimum wage. These will have an impact on a lot of businesses, so I just want to look and prepare people for the increases that will happen in the new tax year. I do regular updates on tax and accounting issues, so if you'd like to be kept up to date, please subscribe to the channel. And if you press the like button, it helps me in the channel, so thank you for doing that. So let's start with the national insurance increase. So there's two parts to the national insurance increase. The point at which you start paying employers national insurance comes down from £9,100 to £5,000, so that's a £4,100 reduction in the allowance, and therefore you pay tax on an extra £4,100, and then the rate of tax has increased from 13.8% to 15%. So it's double effect. And because a large part of the tax increase is on the lowering of when the tax starts to be applied, it disproportionately affects people with lower paid employees. To counteract it for very small businesses, there is an increase in the point at which you pay employers national insurance. So previously you didn't pay employers national insurance on the first £5,000 if you're a smaller business, and now that is increasing to £10,500. So there is an increase in the allowance. So for small business, very small businesses with maybe depends on what you pay them, but on maybe 4 or 5 employees, 3, 4, 5 employees, then you won't suffer any increase and you won't pay the tax. But for any businesses it's not a micro entity, then you need to look at how much extra tax you will pay. And as I say, the increase disproportionately affects less well-paid employees because you're paying it on the salary between £5,000 and £9,100, and the cost of that is £615 per employee, and then in addition, the bit over £9,100, you're paying extra 1.2%. So for somebody on £20,000 a year, it's an increase of, with the pension increase as well, because you're going to pay on pension on a bit more as well, then the whole thing is going to cost something like £860. So that's per employee on 20,000. So it's something like a 4% extra cost of employing somebody. If they earn £30,000, it's about £1,000. And if they earn £40,000, it's something like £1,100. So once they start earning, you start off with a big chunk, and then it's just a small increase. But it's the tax on these less well-paid people that, and if you've got a lot of less well-paid people, then you're going to pay a lot more tax. And then you've got the minimum wage. So the minimum wage, the main rate of minimum wage is increasing by 6.7%, which is quite a lot more than inflation, to £12.21. So if you work 40 hours, that's something like £25,000 a year. So most people don't quite work 40 hours. So it's maybe in the sort of the low 20s is what the minimum, depending on the number of hours the employee does. And that has increased quite dramatically over the last few years. So you do need to check that your employees are still being paid the legal minimum, or if you're not comfortable with the legal minimum, a bit more than the legal minimum. But really the big change there is in younger people. So people who are 16 and 17, they've got an increase to £7.55, which is an 18% increase. Now, that sounds a lot, but we don't normally employ very many 16 and 17-year-olds, because after a year or two they become 18-year-olds. So you don't normally have very many of those in your labour force because most of them are doing A-levels. But 18 and 19-year-olds, 18 to 20-year-olds, then they're going to be on £10 an hour. That is a 16.3%, and I suspect we've got more of them in our workforce. And I know that when I mentioned it to my younger members of staff, they're very excited about this. So £10 an hour, 40 hours a week is £400 a week, or about £20,000 a year, and it's a 16.3% increase in what you pay them. So when you add the national insurance cost as well, something like a 20% increase in their cost to you. What we should also be aware of, if there are any young people who listen to my videos, and I can't believe there are very many, just be very careful of your job, because I can only believe that with a 20% increase there will be a few less jobs around, but we'll see, who knows. What we're faced with is an increase because of the minimum wage and an increase because of the national insurance. I think we need to be prepared for that, and the way that we can prepare, we can look at our pricing structure, I guess, if you can pass on the prices to your customers. We need to look at staffing levels, and we need to understand if we can actually soak up that change and whether it's actually okay for us, or whether we actually need to restructure our business in some way. And I think we need to do it before they come into effect, so we can think about what we're doing. And if people do need any help on that, then please get in touch and we'll do what we can to help, although our services don't amount to paying a tax, I'm afraid. So there we are. There are some increases coming through. I'll do other regular updates on tax and accounting issues, so if you want to be kept up to date, please subscribe to the channel, and if you press the like button, it helps me in the channel, so thank you for doing that.